So you've done all the work, you've accumulated quite the collection, and now it's time to pair. You don't know quite what to do, you don't want to mess things up, and where do you start? Well, guess what? This is going to be the video for you. So let's jump into it. Hey guys, what's going on? Will here, Flawless Crested Geckos, coming to you guys with another video. And this week we're going to talk a little bit about pairing. Pairing season has been on its way for quite some time now. We are probably, I guess you would say, even halfway or almost to the halfway point of breeding season, or through breeding season. For let's say very vested breeders, experienced, amateur, new keepers, whatever it may be, this video can be extremely helpful. We receive a ton of messages, a ton. This is one of the leading questions we get. People often send us pictures of their geckos, males, females, even geckos from other people that they are intending to purchase, and we always err on the side of positivity. Just because you're not buying geckos from us doesn't mean we're not going to help you. We're always going to help you. And they'll send pictures and they want to know, hey, what should I breed this with? So whether it's male or female, so hopefully this video is a blanket, cover all bases, another piece of the puzzle to help you on your journey. There is no one answer fits all, one size fits all to this question. But after viewing this video, you'll be better equipped with answering this pretty much under your own parameters. So these are the things that we would suggest that you put in place before seeking other viewpoints. So you want to go through these processes. We love to have a process and a standard for everything. What's one thing that you definitely know about crested geckos? They fire up, they fire down. Yep, they're male, they're female. Yep, they are, reach their size that you prefer to breed said male or female, their ages. You have to set all the parameters. But along the way, there's some other information you need to gather. For example, if you purchase a gecko from us or from anyone, it would be in your best interest, if you're intending on breeding, to see if you can get as much information as possible. A lot of people always get, hatch dates and things. And yes, that's important, but to us, not as important as your lineage. What did the parents look like? Because it doesn't really matter per se who you're purchasing from. If you can at least get as much detail on where your gecko came from, and like I said, parents will be perfect. It can help set you up for the future. And the reason I say yes, date of birth, that's awesome, that's great. But I mean, we're never pressed to breed as soon as possible. So sometimes we can have a gecko here for 3 years, 4 years before even getting into the breeding program. So for us, it's not as pressing as at least knowing where our gecko has came from. So after you do that, you get those pictures, you document it, you file it away in your system, on your, MacBook or PC, whatever it may be, your hard drive, and you store them. Label everything accordingly so things don't get confusing as your gecko count increases. What does this show you? It shows you a few things. Maybe the breeder that's working with those lines you purchased from, a keeper, or a small level breeder, or a big level breeder. You're not just relying on their ID. You may see something. A lot of people don't ID the same way. It's fine. For sake of the argument, for instance, they may show you something that's a beautiful patterned gecko that's Harlequin, with, one Dalmatian spot. Well, in theory and in reality, that is a Harlequin Dalmatian. it still carries the Dalmatian in the line. So you may purchase it because you love the gecko and you're going to work the Harlequin line, and you start planning your breedings and pairings, and maybe you've just started and now you're wondering 5 years down the road why you still have sprinkles of Dalmatians in your line. It's because you started with it. Nothing wrong with it, but it would have been nice to know at the beginning of things. So if you can at least get pictures of the parents that produce your gecko, that would be an amazing place to start. Then you start categorizing and cataloging things. And you don't have to dig too deep. A lot of the breeders, they just have pictures. They don't have a ton of information all the time, and that's fine too. There's nothing wrong with that. But it hopes, hopefully you can get just the pictures. Then you do the homework yourself. What do you see on that gecko? The incomplete dominant traits. What's there?
Hey guys, Flawless Crested Geckos here, Will, Audra, and we're here to tell you about our Patreon.
Yes, going through tough times, you got to know that Flawless is always going to have your back. If you go over to patreon.com/flawlesscrestedgeckos, you'll see all the perks and benefits it is there for you to come and support us on our Patreon. $50 a month turns around and goes right back into your Flawless Crested Geckos savings account for you to use towards your next purchase.
Any purchase. We also give awesome benefits such as 5% off the top of the price of the gecko. We give free merchandise, t-shirts, we have stainless steel tables, tools, yes. All kinds of goodies. We also give free shipping to our members all year round, no blackout dates. And we give awesome tips, or we think we do anyway.
That's right. So go over to patreon.com/flawlesscrestedgeckos
and join our family.
Yes. Is it a Harlequin? Is it a flame? Is it a pinstripe? Document all of that on the mom side. Document all of that on the dad side. And then take your baby, whatever the name may be, and document what traits it has carried over. Once you have that, you have those 3 categories, and that's a good starting point. Then make sure document your keeping. So over the time and getting, the young one ready for breeding, make sure you take several pictures. These geckos have been known to shed and change drastically after several sheds. So make sure that the gecko is going in the right direction that you wish to go down. After you've done that, you have pictures of it fired up, fired down, just for your personal. Plus, it's kind of a double-edged sword because you could use a lot of those pictures for your social media and marketing and advertisement as well on the other side of things, on the business side. But after you've done all of that, you keeping good records, you can do the same thing on the opposite gender side that you plan on breeding your crested gecko with. So you have this pool of genetics in front of you, and you have the actual geckos that you own and plan on breeding, and now you can step back and look at what you want to produce in your own head. What are you shooting for? What do you like about the geckos that you're working with? What geckos do you stay away from? So you want to make sure that you don't reproduce those geckos by accident. And then also you got to understand that this world isn't perfect. Once you produce animals, you may come across the fact of you have to update the lineage. Why would you ever have to update the lineage? Well, because you bred this Harlequin red to this other, yellow Harlequin, and somehow through babies that you produce in-house, you produce phantoms. You produce hypos. What's going on here? You produce amazing, pretty babies, and you keep some, you sell some, but guess what? You don't remember to go back and document. Now, for us, what we would do, we would go back to our male that we own and our female that we bred together and notate that, hey, these have to be het phantom at very minimum. So you tag them as het phantom, which means that the parents they came from, somewhere in a bunch, one of them at least had to be het phantom. And again, this creates a backlog of tracking and updating your collection. It may be something that you wanted to stay away from, so that now means that you can document that. Now you can either keep them and make sure, or try to make sure you don't breed it to anything that's phantom or het phantom, or now you could sell them with the updated lineage, still with the parents, but also you can now state that this animal is ready to breed, and it's also het phantom. So now that the new buyer, new keeper, has even more information getting into the game than you did when you started. Very, very important. So that's a good starting point. Summary of all of this is, like I said, get as much information as possible from the breeder. Take pictures of your own gecko throughout the process of it growing, fired up and fired down. Document the lineage, not just taking it for face value from what the breeder has said, but actually writing it down, document it somewhere in your breeding notes, what the genes that the parents are carrying, so that now that you can sit and have a better judgment on what you're producing once you start breeding it. So then you can now reevaluate after you've had your first successful season with said geckos, and even determine on whether you want to repeat that breeding again, or now you need to let go one of the geckos or both and replace them with something else that I guess piques your interest a little bit more. But again, all these things, the totality of circumstances, can help answer the question on what should I breed said geckos with. Again, short little video, but feel like it needs to be put out there, because I think putting these parameters out there into your own program can definitely help push you into the right direction without telling you, hey, do this, do that. You have a mind of your own, and you may be even more creative than we are. So you never want to replicate someone else's ideal, or you'll end up with a result that you don't like. Make sure you chase your own goals and nobody else's. Anyway, it's Will, Flawless Crested Geckos, and we out.